Okay, let's be real. Have you ever gotten a stack of medical bills and just felt completely lost? You are not alone. Today, we are going to pull back the curtain on the billing for one of the most common procedures out there, cataract surgery. We're going to make sense of all that paperwork together.
Wow. This quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It gets right to the absolute core of the problem. You have one surgery on one day, so you expect, one bill. But what shows up in your mailbox is a totally different story. And that one simple assumption, right there, is where all the confusion starts.
So, let's kick things off by busting the biggest myth of all, the one bill myth. Seriously, the idea that you're going to get a single, neat little invoice for your surgery is, well, a fantasy. And it's the reason why so many of us get lost in a sea of paperwork.
Here's a great way to think about it. The billing system is like an orchestra. Your surgery might feel like a single performance, but behind the scenes, you have a whole bunch of different players. You've got the surgeon, the hospital, the anesthesiologist. They all play their own part, and yep, they all send their own bill, pretty much on their own schedule.
So, what are these different instruments in our little orchestra? Well, you're not getting one bill. You're getting a whole bundle of separate claims. There's a fee for the surgeon's time and skill, a fee for using the operating room, another one for the anesthesia, and even a line item for the specific lens you picked out. Honestly, it's totally normal to get anywhere from 2 to maybe even 6 of these statements trickling in over weeks.
So what can you actually do about all this? Here is your first super practical tip. It's so simple. The second a bill related to your surgery comes through the door, grab a pen and write the surgery date right at the top. Then just start a pile. That one little move instantly starts creating order out of the chaos.
Okay, so now we get why the bills come in pieces. Let's talk about what's in them. We're going to dive into the 3 most common and costly surprises. These are the spots where people really get blindsided by numbers they just did not see coming.
Surprise number 1, the huge gap that can open up between the estimate and the final bill. You know that estimate you got beforehand? It looks so nice and tidy, a friendly spreadsheet with polite, predictable numbers. But the final bills, they come from a completely different universe, one with real-life variables that can absolutely change what you end up owing.
All right, the second big surprise, and this one is so important, often comes from your choice of lens. See, that conversation you have in the exam room about what kind of vision you want, that's also a financial conversation. Insurance almost always covers a standard basic lens. But if you choose a premium one, say to correct astigmatism, well, that creates a totally legitimate upgrade charge that's going to be on you to pay.
This chart breaks it down perfectly. You've got these 3 main buckets: the surgeon, the facility, and the anesthesia. And the one that really catches people off guard is anesthesia. Why? Because you'll often get a bill from a company you've literally never heard of. Don't panic. That's usually just the separate group your anesthesiologist works with. They're another instrument in the orchestra, sending their own bill.
Okay, enough about the problems. Let's get into the solutions. In this section, we're going to walk through a simple 5-minute workflow you can use the moment you have that stack of bills in your hand. This is all about getting back in the driver's seat.
Look, if you take away just one thing from this whole explainer, please make it this 5-step audit. First, group your papers into piles: surgeon, facility, anesthesia. Simple. Next, check the dates of service. Then, and this is the big one, cross-check every single bill against the explanation of benefits, or EOB, from your insurer. Then, you're going to scan for any of those upgrade charges we talked about. And finally, if anything feels weird, ask for an itemized bill right away. This is your playbook.
And you know what? When it comes to this stuff, timing is everything. Please, don't let a confusing bill just sit on your kitchen counter gathering dust. You've got about a 7 to 14-day window to start asking questions. Why so fast? Because an early question is just a simple clarification. A late question can turn into a massive, complicated appeal. Act fast. It will save you a world of headache.
All right, for our final section, let's get super practical. We're going to give you the exact tools and even the right words to use when you need to pick up the phone. This is about transforming you from someone who just gets a bill into someone who actively manages the conversation about your costs.
This is probably the best analogy I've ever heard for this. Think of the bill you get from the doctor or hospital as the scoreboard. It's their version of what the final score is. But the explanation of benefits, the EOB from your insurance company, that's the referee. And the referee's call is the one that's official. The EOB is the ultimate authority on what was covered and what you truly owe.
So when you do have to call, you don't need to be aggressive or angry. You just need to be clear. And this right here, this is your script.
Asking for an itemized bill is powerful. Asking them to separate the surgeon and facility fees gets right to the heart of that orchestra problem. And these last two questions are like surgical tools to get you the exact information you need without wasting time.
So, let's wrap up with this final thought. A medical bill, especially a big, confusing one, feels like a final demand. It feels like an order. But it's not. It's just the start of a conversation. And now you've got the playbook, you've got the language, and you have the power to lead that conversation. So the only question left is, are you ready to talk?